of a Red Sox nation. It's a kind of a family. Wherever I roam, a Fenway home, that's where I long to be. I'm a member of a Red Sox nation. It's a kind of insanity. Yeah, I live and die with Red Sox pride for eternity. I fake a smile November until opening day. Suffering baseball withdrawal around the clock. When April comes, hey, meet me down on Yankee Way. That's when Red Sox Nation starts to rock.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final ever Avid Boston podcast presented by AVIDBOSTON.com. And I say final ever, it is only the final ever in that name. And we will be transitioning to a new show on this weekend, Sunday evening, and that will be announced on Friday afternoon. You can find this show on SoundCloud and iTunes within 30 minutes of the conclusion of this broadcast, and as well as Spreaker, Player FM, and iHeartRadio. And again, on all those links, this will be for the last time. So after this episode, when the new show gets announced, there'll be a new iTunes link, new SoundCloud link, and it might take me a few days beyond that to get the rest of them all set up. It's a bit of a process. So we will get into it. And I am Terry Cushman, joined as always by my co-hosts Dave Kwiatkowski and Austin Hartsfield, who you can also find on the Double Coverage podcast, which can also be found on iTunes. How you doing, guys?
I'm doing much better than the last podcast.
Hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice season sweep of the Miami Marlins. We'll do that for you.
Shouldn't expect anything different, but there was a little drama. So
yeah, always.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll just get right into it, wasting no time. Let's see, Tuesday night, game 1, Brian Johnson gets the start. He went 4 1/3, kind of a quick hook from Alex Cora. He was backed, there was 3-1 at the time, backed mostly by Kinsler, Benintendi, Mookie, and Bogarts, putting those runs up on the board. Skipping ahead to the 8th inning was when the trouble got started for the Red Sox. Matt Barnes surrenders 4 runs. Heath Hembree also took over, surrendering a run in the 8th inning. However, Jackie Bradley hit a 2 RBI single to tie the game, and then Kinsler came home on a wild pitch to put the Sox in the lead 7-6. Enter Craig Kimbrell. He gave up his mandatory 2 walks and then a base hit to get the score tied at 7-7. Blew the save. Then finally, in the bottom half of the 9th inning, the Red Sox responded once again. Martinez, Bogarts both reaching, and then Nunez hit what should have been a grounder to second into a routine double play, but the ball was thrown away at first base. Martinez scores to walk it off 8-7 your final. David Price got the start tonight, scuffled quite a bit over the 3 innings. He was in there, giving up 3 runs. A lot of balls getting shot into the gaps. Nunez managed to get the Red Sox on the board with a solo. Mookie hit a solo shortly after. Fast forward to the 7th inning, the Red Sox exploded, putting up 11 runs on the board, and pretty much ran away with it from there. 14-6 your final. The Red Sox sweep the series 2-0, and I believe 3 out of 4 on the Marlins for the season. So from here we'll get into shout-outs and call-outs, and Dave will take us through this segment.
Yeah, so my shout-out, or Austin, do you want to go first, actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you lead us off? You lead us off.
Sure. It's your boy, so I guess I'll lead us off.
That's right.
Eduardo Nunez was a rock in this series. Absolutely phenomenal with 2 jacks. Sometimes I forget that he can play offense, shining as much as he is at third base. But he looked really good this series and gave us the pick-me-up that we needed.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been on fire the past 2 or 3 weeks. He's been one of our best hitters. The bottom of the lineup has been more consistent than the top of the lineup, I'd say, but minus JD Martinez recently.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom has looked phenomenal lately.
Yeah, from Bogarts down, it's been really good.
Bradley,
Terry, what about you?
Actually, why don't you go, Dave, since mine's a little weird.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, I do like Terry's.
Yeah,
so
good,
my shout out is Blake Swihart, what could be your regular catcher next year. In the last 30 games, he's batting .270 with inconsistent, playing time and also playing a couple different positions. He's played third, he's played first, he's come in games for an injured Mitch Moreland. He's thrown guys out. Tonight, he came off the bench in a great move by Cora, who I called out last series, had a great series this time, and comes out batting righty, which is not his strong suit. 0-2 pitch, he takes that into left field and, starts and kind of keeps that rally going. Just such a great thing to see out of a guy that people were talking about trading him away for a 1-for-1 rental. He is the real deal, and even when he makes an out, it's a loud out. He always seems to smoke the ball. He's just been on fire recently, and it really adds more depth to the lineup. He's a speedster on the base path. He can go first to third and second to home almost every single hit when he's out there. So a huge, huge piece to, a guy off the bench in the postseason, or someone gets hurt or someone's struggling. You can plug him in. He's turning into Brock Holt the year that Brock Holt was an All-Star.
And he's a good clubhouse guy as well.
Yeah, he keeps the boys loose. You see him out there always smiling, always laughing. He had a nice little dance there at third base tonight, and after his double, triple era there. But he's really turned a lot of heads in the last half of the season here, which is great because off to a slow start, inconsistent playing time, but he's kept to it.
He's so much more than a catcher. That's the thing. That's my biggest thing with him. So much more than a catcher.
Yeah, I think people forget he's a catcher. He doesn't look like a catcher. He's not.
Nope,
he doesn't have
not
huge
built
legs.
like one, doesn't run like one.
Nope. He plays like a middle infielder, to be honest.
Yeah, and if they need to put him there in emergency, he could probably do it. So,
or train him there in the offseason for second base. Maybe you never know.
Right,
Terry, let me hear yours. I love this one.
This is great.
My shout out, and this is for someone who helps the Red Sox win. I can't emphasize that much more. That's what the shout outs are for, and my shout out goes to Don Mattingly. And reason being, last night in the 8th inning, we were all kind of drowning in our sorrows because Matt Barnes had basically shit his pants on the mound. When we had I think a 4-1 lead at the time, and we're figuring we're going to lose the game at this point. But Mattingly has his reliever, Tayron Guerrero, on the mound, and as he's pitching through the inning, clearly his stuff is inconsistent, sometimes a little all over the place, and he was nearing almost 30 pitches, and there was 2 runners on base, Bradley at the plate, a lefty, and Mattingly had a lefty in the mound, but he decides to let Guerrero face Bradley. Well, Bradley, as we know, ripped a single, which brought in 2 runs. You think he'd remove him from the game at that point. He does not. He leaves him in to face Mookie Betts, of all people, and ended up throwing a wild pitch, which brought in a run. And, kind of a questionable managing there. And then tonight, a base runner tried to steal, and Kinsler made a really good play, and the call on the field was the runner was out, but on the replays you could show that you could clearly see that Kinsler missed the tag initially, and the runner was safe, and Mattingly decided not to challenge. So Probably just bad managing there, and he's kind of managing like the season's about to end, and he just doesn't care. They're 53-81 on the year, and yeah. But anyway,
that was almost as bad managing as the front offices for them, considering Christian Yelich just hit for the cycle.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the moon.
Yeah. Almost 30 home runs for him too this year.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Mattingly as well tonight. Red Sox tie it up. It's 5-5 in the 7th inning. I think it was. We get all those runs and no outs. Second,
the base open.
Mookie Betts is up to bat. First base is open. You have a lefty on the mound, and Andrew Benintendi coming up next, and you decide to pitch to Mookie again, who hit a scorching line drive to second in the gap to get a double, 2 runs home, and that was the start of the end for that inning in the game there. Just Mattingly making stupid decisions, the whole series and season, and just not a great in-game manager, or really a manager at this point anyway. Just doesn't care. You see it on his face. He always looked like a douche to begin with, but he just doesn't care right now. He's just
former Yankee.
Yeah, former Yankee, classic Yankee. You look at him, and he just screams. He screams Brett Gardner to me, screams Joe Girardi to me when it comes to just being entitled and
douchebags.
Acting like a hardo basically. And, it shows in his management. And I wish nothing but the worst for Don Mattingly over there.
Yeah, and Nesson got on him for the Mookie play, but I couldn't make up my mind if I was going to mention that or not, because if there were 2 outs in the inning, I definitely put him on, but there was 1, so I didn't know. But, I mean, yeah, Mookie isn't, a guy you want to pitch to, so.
I don't think there was any outs at the time, actually.
No, there was 1.
That was the second time Mookie came up then? Because Benintendi gave up the first out on a sack bunt.
Yeah, and then he hit into the double play.
Yeah. Either way,
that's right.
Yeah, no, that was the first time Mookie went up, I believe.
Yeah, because there are no outs. So so it would have been bases loaded with nobody out, and Benintendi, who in his last 30 games is batting .250, in his last 15 games is batting .207 with the lefty on the mound. I feel like that would have been a much better.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah,
just silly decisions.
Right. Yeah.
But fitting into that, we'll go into our call outs, and I think all of ours are going to be similar. Austin, why don't you lead it off, and then I'll jump in.
It's Matt Barnes. I'm never going to feel comfortable with Matt Barnes on the mound in a big situation, or even a situation with any leverage at all. I mean, I know he's had a great year up until the All-Star break, really. And I think half the bullpen has 4 ERAs, but Matt Barnes gives me butterflies, and I hate it, and he did not look good.
Yeah, he's kind of falling into Joe Kelly syndrome. When he's on, man, is he on. But when he's off, you know it from the first pitch. And it's one of those things where you just hope he gets on at the end of September. Because if he is, he's a legit weapon, kind of like a workman, like a Joe Kelly. We have a lot of those guys in the bullpen that, man, when they're great, and when they're not, they're not. So not a lot of consistency recently. Even with our blow-ups recently, and even yesterday, we're still 6th in the MLB and ERA for the bullpen. But that's taken a hit recently, and needs to be figured out. Barnes and Hembree are probably getting number 1 right now, and it leads into my call-out, which is Craig Kimbrell, who we shouted out last podcast. Austin did, and
why we can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things. Craig Kimbrell comes in, just like Terry said earlier, gives up his walks like he has to. He has to hit his quota, and gets himself into trouble just due to lack of command. It's not velocity. It's not that he doesn't have the stuff. It's either losing focus or it's a pitching mechanic right now. And he blew the save. And after the comeback that we had against a team that doesn't hit the ball very well, this isn't like the White Sox, who actually hit the ball pretty decently but don't have a good record or anything like that. This team doesn't hit home runs, doesn't hit the ball hard, and they got some hits on him when they needed it. And he needs to be better. He needs to be our best pitcher in the bullpen. I know he's had his struggles, and it looked like he was starting to turn the corner, but clearly went right back to it. So Cora talked about him in the pregame, saying it's not, health, it's not, lack of confidence or anything like that. It's just a little bit mechanical right now and just a little bit of mislocating, which I believe. But they need to ring him in sooner than later.
We'll get into him in depth in a couple of minutes, but definitely, my primary concern so far. I really struggled because I usually go last when we pick these things, and